I'm sitting out in front of AP house to confront him. Part 2. Anyway, we informed the kids on Friday night. It was dreadful. They are very aware of what is going on, and they are shambles. They are upset with her for having a boyfriend, and they are upset with me for leaving mom. She really didn't want me to claim she had a boyfriend, but I was certain about it. The kids' first therapy appointment is on Friday. I'm not sure how it will go, but I'm hoping they'll be able to start processing their feelings about the entire event. Meanwhile, I'm attempting to be a strict disciplinarian while allowing them to express their sadness, rage, and uncertainty about what is occurring in their lives. It's a tricky balancing act. It's all right to get furious, shout, and weep. No, it's not acceptable to trash your toys out of rage. That kind of thing. SDBXW returned to the home on Friday night, and for the time being, we are cohabiting until we figure out who is moving out and when. We'll have to sell the home since I can't afford to retain it while still paying child support and alimony, no matter how much that is. Because the property market in our region is now down and no one is purchasing properties, we decided to put it on the market in the spring to receive a better price. I can't wait for the next 4 months to be over. It's also going to be a gloomy Christmas. I can't even force myself to put up decorations, since celebrating anything right now feels so strange to me. I'll take care of it. I want the kids to have the most typical Christmas possible. I only need to find the time and mental energy to haul the tree out of storage and hang it. She's dozing off on the sofa. I can't bring myself to be the larger guy in this situation and offer her our bed. I placed a lock on the bedroom door and lock it before I leave the home in the morning, so she can't come in and tamper with my belongings. She's now utilizing the guest bathroom and storing some clothing in a bag. It's petty to be sure. It's a slick maneuver. Whatever you want to call it, she left me, and I'm going to sleep in my bed at night while she suffers on the sofa. So that's where we're at the moment. It's not a really thorough update, but it covers the essentials of what's happened in the previous few days. The home is pretty quiet. She's hardly speaking to me, much alone yelling or throwing a tantrum. The few topics we do mention are all about kids and are quick and to the point. I'm sure there's more going on under the surface with her. There usually is, but for the time being, she's pleasant. Update 4. First and foremost, please know that everything is still friendly, respectful, and amicable. Tension was high for the first week, but it has since subsided as we all adjust to our new normal. To be honest, it gives me hope that we can continue to handle things peacefully since we've been usually courteous to one another throughout everything. I know it's difficult to believe given all she's put me through, but she's being very direct and honest about everything, and I've been solid in my decision, with one noteworthy exception, to go on. Second, it was a lot of fun putting up the Christmas decorations. The kids had a great time with it. We listened to Christmas music, watched Christmas movies, and didn't take ourselves too seriously. SDBXW also joined in on the act. I couldn't technically stop her from assisting since she was still living in the home. While I placed lights outside, she monitored the kids hanging decorations on the tree. When I walked in, we all drank hot chocolate and watched Christmas Vacation. I sat on one side of the children, and she sat on the other. We would have curled up on the sofa together to watch the movie in prior years, but I wasn't about to do that this time. Third, the children's treatment is progressing nicely. The first meeting consisted mostly of paperwork and getting to know you activities. We got into it a little bit, but the kids were nervous and unsure how it would all play out. I believe that having me and SDBXW in the room put them on edge a little. The second session seemed to have gone much better. We began session #2 by discussing as a group, and then the therapist asked if we could walk out for a few moments. We waited outside the room while the therapist and the children spoke. After about 15 minutes, we walked back in, and the students shared what they had spoken about. They exhibited a great deal of pain and confusion, said that they did not want us to divorce, and stated that they did not want to live in separate households. Now comes the exciting part. SDBXW began to weep and said, "I don't want that either." All I could think as I sat there open-mouthed was, "Are you kidding me? Then you shouldn't have messed around on me," I almost said as I stopped myself from going any farther. But I didn't do it. Then, like I added, "I don't want that either," but it seemed like I was just echoing what she said. Then I asked the therapist if we could talk with her alone before we left. The therapist invited the kids to walk out into the waiting room and locked the door with 5 minutes remaining in the session. She then pounced on my wife. She said that she was being manipulative and casting me as the evil person with her words, and that she needed to stop if we were going to have a healthy co-parenting relationship in the future. She said that if my wife genuinely did not want to divorce, she would have considered the repercussions of her conduct while having her affair. She very much expressed what I wanted to say but couldn't. It was quite amazing. That night, STBXW apologized to me for what she had said in therapy and promised to think more about what she was saying and how her words might affect the kids before speaking them. It was about the best I could hope for. Aside from that, work is going well and Christmas preparations are coming together beautifully. Oh, and I had with my wife by mistake. That's the aforementioned exception to my resolution. This is what occurred. Return to the night we put up our Christmas decorations. It had been a wonderful day. We had all had a terrific time, watched movies, and enjoyed our time together. It was just how it had been before all of this nonsense happened. We put the kids to bed and sat down to watch It's a Wonderful Life, her favorite Christmas film. We'd been drinking eggnog and brandy all evening, and between the warm sentiments and the warm brandy, I didn't know how much it had influenced my judgment. She leaned down and lightly kissed my neck. I turned to look at her, and we attacked it like a pair of adolescent boys. I wish I could say I wasn't thinking to myself, don't do this, but I was. I just ignored my better judgment and did it anyhow. I knew I wasn't in my right mind, since it had been so long since she and I had been together. That being said, it was fantastic. We both had a terrific time. But as I lay there afterwards, I was disgusted with myself for doing it. After all of this time, after all of her betrayals, after all of my wonderful progress, I'm still angry with myself. And now I have to cope with all of the consequences. That night, I informed her that nothing had changed between us and that I still wanted a divorce. I told her that couldn't happen again and that we couldn't go back to the way things were. She agreed. She claimed she agreed, but who knows with her? I haven't had a chance to talk about it with my therapist or our marital counselor, with whom we are currently meeting. And I need to go get an STD test since I'm not sure whether she caught anything from AP or not. Because I had a vasectomy some years ago, I don't have to worry about a surprise pregnancy, but the rest of it completely baffles me. I'm not sure how I could have been so idiotic as to let my defenses down. I'm sorry if what transpired disappointed anybody here. I'm not perfect. I'm furious with myself. And it's not going to happen again. Update 5. Let me begin by mentioning that my wife and I eventually chose to persevere. Yes, I realize that will disappoint many of you. I know I suffered with sentiments of self-dissatisfaction throughout the most of last year. We're not back to 100% yet, and I doubt we ever will be, but things are looking up. It took roughly 9 months of hard treatment, both individually and collectively, as well as therapy with our children, to get to this stage. We have to both be ready to forgive and move on. To be honest, I think it's a wonder that we'd gotten this far. Here's how it all went down. I made it plain in my previous report that we would not be sleeping together again. We continued to attend to couples counseling, and she began to open up about what she was thinking and feeling, as well as what prompted her to rekindle her relationship with AP. It became evident to me at some point, probably in March, that something had changed in both of us. We weren't just going through the motions. We were really communicating with one another. She was terrified of growing dissatisfied with her role as a wife and mother. She desired something that was lacking and attempted to get it outside of our marriage. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't falling for a ruse. I really feel she was lost and searching for whatever she was missing. Yes, she should have searched for it with me, but she didn't. That is something I have forgiven her for. I shared my sadness and anguish, as well as how destroyed my trust had become. I was afraid of being burnt again, and to some extent, I still am. I'm aware that it's possible. In reality, everything is possible. But I've given up on my desire to be in charge and have placed my trust in her that she would never do anything like this to me again. That's not everything. Having a plan brings me a lot of inner calm. That's simply who I am. I have a desire to prepare and think out things, and doing so provides me with comfort. I know what I would do if I ever began to doubt her devotion or discovered proof of her cheating again. That strategy provides me strength and helps me to clear my mind of the pain. For months, all I could think about was her cheating and lying. I hardly think about it now. She hasn't talked to, contacted, or checked in with AP in over a year. Because I have access to her phone, laptop, and Facebook communications, I'm aware of this, which she agreed to allow me. I was tempted to examine her material every day for a time. It was difficult not to look through every single message and wonder who she was messaging and why. My urge to check up on her waned with time. I always made sure to do it at random and without notice so that I could capture her if necessary. I haven't done it in maybe 2 months, and I doubt I'll do it again until anything piques my interest. Again, counseling was really beneficial in this regard. I haven't talked to AP or his wife since December of last year, when I last contacted her. To be honest, I'm okay with it. I can see that they are still married on Facebook, but I don't focus on it or check it much. I've configured her profile to not appear in my newsfeed, and I believe the last time I looked it was 3-4 months ago. I don't give what happens to them anymore. We removed ourselves from the group of people with whom we were jogging and formed new friendships. I don't believe the former connections were intentionally destructive, but those couples had different values that didn't mesh with who we wanted to be as a couple. They were highly gregarious and outgoing in a manner that was okay with binge drinking, drug use, and posting about money and social standing. They were kind individuals, but they weren't the type of people we wanted to spend our time with. Our new circle of friends is fantastic. They're still gregarious and outgoing, but there's less drinking and drug use, more emphasis on family, and a more pleasant vibe all around. We spent New Year's Eve 2018 with our old gang and awoke on January 1st hungover and useless. We spent NYE with our new group this year and had a terrific night, but we arrived home with the kids early enough that we could enjoy ourselves and our kids on NYD. Our children are aware that we want to remain together. We agreed to put the divorce procedures on hold for the summer, June, July. It was supposed to be finished in March/April, but we decided to push it back early. Going through our items and deciding who got what was really difficult, and I honestly believe it led to both her readiness to open up and make things work and my willingness to give it another attempt. We informed the kids that we were not going to divorce, that sometimes mommies and daddies need to work through difficult situations, and that we would continue to attempt to work through this. In August, she returned to our bedroom, and I removed the lock. Life isn't perfect, but it's getting better, and it's growing better by the day. She apologized to me on Christmas for all she had put me through and promised to work hard every day to reestablish my trust and affection. I adore her, possibly more than ever. I can see how couples can go through something like this. We've arranged a family trip together this spring for the kids' spring break, and I believe we're all looking forward to it. We continue to see our couples therapist on a weekly basis, and we both continue to see individual therapists on a regular, but not weekly basis outside of our couples sessions. Our marital counselor expressed her admiration for how we handled the situation and how we continue to strive to mend in our marriage. It wasn't easy for a long time, but it's much easier today. I want to be as specific as possible about what we did to heal. I realize the remainder of this article is a little hazy, but I want to be clear on what we did to make it work. Perhaps this will be useful to someone else. I'm not an expert. This is just what worked for us. Individual and couples counseling is available on both sides. Therapy helped me see my flaws as a man, a spouse, and a parent. It helped me discover clarity and tranquility inside myself, as well as reclaim the confidence I had lost when my wife cheated on me. Her individual treatment assisted her in identifying and dealing with her own flaws as a wife and mother. It helped her determine if she really wanted reconciliation or whether she preferred to go her own way. When she decided she wanted to reconcile, our couples counseling helped us figure out how to get there and what our lives would be like thereafter. We both agreed to strive toward that mutual objective. We really committed and worked hard outside of treatment to improve our relationship. This includes the following: honesty to the core. I informed her when I was experiencing something. She informed me when she was experiencing something. We didn't keep our sentiments to ourselves. We expressed them, and when she was telling me anything, I pushed all of my distractions aside and actually listened to her. She was kind enough to do the same for me. Check-ins happen every day. We would sit down every night once the kids were in bed and check in with each other. How did we spend our day? What did we have planned for the following day? What did we think of each other? These chats were challenging at first, but they quickly became second nature. I now look forward to our nightly check-ins because I know they have had a huge beneficial influence on our relationship. They're asking each other questions. It was almost as if we had gone back in time to when we first began dating. We've been together for a long time, and we're not the same individuals we were when we first began dating. Individuals change. The issue is whether the people we are now are still capable of being in a good marriage. I noticed an internet list of questions. ranging from "What is your favorite color?" to "What would you do if one of your parents died right now?" We went through the list one by one. Then we discovered another list. And here's another. It's been interesting rediscovering who she is. Service acts. I'm not very religious, but we came across a Christian-based handbook on rebuilding a marriage after infidelity that emphasized acts of service for your spouse. This varied from the modest, writing them a letter, executing a duty for which they were accountable, sending a message in the middle of the day, to the lavish, date night alone, buying a thoughtful gift, taking a weekend away together. Again, the little things started to mount up, restoring my faith in her and my love for her. Simple gestures, like her taking out the garbage for me while I was working late one night, meant a lot. Stop ruminating on it. This was difficult for me. I had to consciously choose not to think about things that might lead me down a bad path. This was also really motivating since it allowed me to concentrate my attention and energy on other things. Whenever I felt myself becoming engrossed in it, I'd do anything to keep my mind off of it, work out or go for a run, watch something hilarious on TV, do something diverting with the kids. I eventually stopped thinking about it on a daily basis, and as I previously said, as time passed, I thought about it less and less. Please don't misinterpret this as me preaching. I'm not. Some individuals, in my opinion, should not be together. I honestly thought that about us until about halfway through last year. Some folks are capable of making it work. Others most obviously should not. From the outside, I can't assess your circumstance any better than you can judge mine. But for the time being, I am certain that we will be together for the long haul. Something more, I can't go in and check this account on a daily basis, since it brings up old, awful memories of what transpired between us. I intend to publish this, then check in again in a few days, and then probably leave the account alone in the future. I don't want to erase it in case someone else finds it useful, but I can't keep exposing myself to all of this if I want to continue working with her. I hope this makes sense.